Okay, welcome everyone to our Fusion talk. You are attending oral assessment with VideoNote, a new element in the Brightspace classroom. My name is Jordan O'Connell. I'm an adjunct instructor and instructional designer at Northeast Iowa Community College, and we are committed to keeping all of our flubs in this recording because that's what the beauty of VideoNote really brings. Shannon, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Shannon Brenner. I'm also an instructional designer and adjunct instructor. I teach a college experience course and communication courses for the college.
And so we have a short pre-recorded talk. These are the five main bullet points we'll kind of go through, but we do really want to be loose with this and kind of just talk through what it's been like to teach with VideoNote in the Brightspace learning management system for a couple of years. Both of us have taught in a variety of different contexts and have used VideoNote to great effect to elicit student engagement and to assess student learning really dynamically. So I've been doing it with different forms of video for 12 or 13 years as a community college instructor. And there's one particular assignment I call the Lest We Forget project I use in US history courses that I've been using for a very long time, where students record about a 5-minute video, a biographical research presentation on a historical American figure. And I've had a lot of buy-in from students over the years. Almost everyone does the project and does a good job of it, even in the early days of 3G internet with cellular connectivity on rural Texas farms. I had students doing these projects. But recently, and I'll play a clip here, I had students submit work after class was over. I'll just play a few seconds of this here.
Crazy. Sometimes working without an organized system can be stressful, but in this video we're going to help you figure out how to make a YouTube video, how to edit, and how to make a quality video for Mr. O'Connell.
So I'm playing just a half-second clip there of a 15-minute video submitted by students months after they were through with my class. They'd had such a good time recording videos throughout the class, and they were one of the first groups I'd really seen commit to the use of video, not just in a project, but in their weekly work, which I allowed in the US history context. And so months after the class was over, I get a text from students saying, "Hey, we have another video. It's for your future students." And so they proceed to go through all the technology and all the tools that they'd use to produce really neat videos with just off-the-shelf stuff that everyone pretty much has access to with a basic smartphone in today's day and age. It's been a pretty powerful experience, and I've been looking for an opportunity like this to kind of share what I've been able to do with D2L and video with others, and which Shannon has been along for the journey as well. This all took on renewed significance when ChatGPT released Model 3.0 around Thanksgiving of 2022. All of a sudden, I had another reason to really expand my use of video in online courses. And Shannon can attest to this too. The possibilities with video in D2L Brightspace are pretty significant. And the possibilities for evaluating that work are really dynamic. Shannon, I'll throw it to you a little bit. What's been your
Yeah.
experience with using VideoNote in Brightspace? What's it been like?
Well, I've been using it a lot more since AI has become an issue. But I will say, even before that, I've used it to increase engagement in online courses, and that's been a really valuable tool. It helps me get to know students, to be able to hear their voices. I typically don't require video, but certainly they can choose it. But even just hearing their voices makes a big difference in an online class. So in addition to the authenticity stuff, it's just really nice to be able to have that human connection. And in return, I give them feedback the same way. So I will give audio or video feedback based on how they submit their work. And I just think it's just a better way to get to know people in that kind of space.
When we face student writing in 2025, it's sort of there's always this voice in the back of my head saying, is this person, right? Like, did this come from a script? How scripted was this? How much can I trust this? But it's been much easier to assess student work when it comes in the form of video. I can look at things like, are they looking at the camera? Are they referring back to notes? My ability to evaluate whether they've grasped what I need them to understand is much simpler. And so it's made it much more attractive as an instructor using rubrics and learning the learning outcomes tool in Brightspace to be confident in my assessment of their learning and the dynamic of getting to know the student through the video, like Shannon said, and then to be able to leave video feedback too. We use the idea survey through the college and of course survey, and students' ratings of my course and their experience in the course demonstrably went up as soon as I implemented the use of VideoNote. And I've had very few students unable or unwilling to record on a week by week basis.
It's interesting because at the beginning of the course, sometimes they really kind of balk at the idea. and they make some excuses about not wanting to do it, but by the end of the course, you're right, they are actually really glad that they did it and they feel like they became more comfortable recording and hearing themselves talk. And so I think that's a valuable skill going forward for them for future classes where they have to present, and things like that.
And there's things you can do about that too. Like I'll send my syllabus out early. I'll look through the class list within Brightspace, email everyone, and let them know it's going to be a little bit different. Make sure your college or university sort of has the grounding in the language regarding catalog use. Like, can you expect students to use video and audio with your courses at NICC? We can, which has been really, really great. What about the context of the sort of writing intensive courses you teach, Shannon? How's video sort of changed
Yeah.
what you do and how students do it?
Mhm. So in our composition courses, obviously AI has been an issue for some students, and using VideoNote has really helped us one, listen to the confidence level in our students in terms of their writing ability. So in the revision process, I have my students record a reflection where they talk about how the revision went, what their favorite parts of their paper, their piece are, and what areas they're still working on or they aren't as comfortable with. And I can really hear the confidence or lack thereof in their voices when they're talking. And if, I've had one or two try to read something that ChatGPT wrote, and I can hear that too. It's pretty easy to tell when somebody's being genuine in those reflections. So that's been a really big help. You can also hear their process, right? If a student is really generic about what they say in that reflection, it's pretty clear that they didn't put much work into it, whether they're using AI or not. And so the more they talk about it and the more specific they get, the more it's clear that they really put some time and effort into the work. So it's been a really helpful tool in that regard.
I got a really nice comment at the end of the spring semester from a student thanking me for requiring the use of the VideoNote tool in discussions, even though you've got the process for doing it is a little more technical than using it in the assignments tool. But the student was just very grateful to sort of engage with another person and not just words on a screen. Well, was how the student put it in that feedback. So let's talk about the integration specifically. So I use it in discussions and assignments. It's definitely easier to use in the assignments tool because that can be an assignment type. You can set your assignment to only be able to take video files or images specifically. So that's a really sort of neat and easy way within the assignments tool to only limit it to what students are willing to record, either on their phone by uploading a file or using the built-in VideoNote recorder with up to 30 minutes of build time, very lightweight, right in the browser, super, super clean. In terms of scaffolding, there's definitely a lot of setup. I definitely have a lot in the discussion board about, or excuse me, within the syllabus about this. And then something we do is we open early discussions. We call it like week 0 in a lot of our courses. So it gives students a space to kind of practice the use of the VideoNote tool through a discussion and through an assignment. Shannon, what else do you do to kind of communicate the VideoNote expectations to learners?
One thing I will add is that you can also use it in quizzes. So I've had students record pre-assessment. So sometimes I give a pre-assessment, especially in a competency-based course, where students can kind of talk about what they already know about a learning objective, and if they can demonstrate through audio or video that they understand a topic or that they have a skill already, then they can skip forward to the module assessment and skip some of the in-between work. And so it's a really good way to do that because, again, you can hear the confidence in their voices and you can tell pretty easily whether they really have that skill or not. So,
one way to kind of drive this home is I have grade items that are at the very top of their grade book where I'm leaving my video feedback each week to kind of bring the immediacy of video right into the fold. So not only am I expecting them to do it, I'm doing it myself at the very top of their grade book. And another thing to make sure that students are sort of doing it and committing to it is just, I link out to a Google Doc with some easy screenshots that kind of show in our instance of the LMS what it looks like to add a video note within discussions using the insert stuff button. So I've got a little walkthrough that I provide students, which I think is an important to scaffold the tools that you use in your courses, not just expect learners to get it or pawn it off to your LMS support team. I think if you're going to use these sorts of tools, you definitely need to know how they work and you should be using them yourself to interact with students.
having students do a low stakes assignment first with VideoNote is really helpful. So in the very beginning of the class, you can do class introductions that way. And that ensures that students understand how to use it before they get to an actual assignment. And the class discussion is probably not worth very many points, and they get the points just for doing it, right? So it's a low stakes, easy way for them to practice using VideoNote and get the hang of it before they get into the meat of the course.
And one thing that we didn't talk about, Shannon, but I know both of us have done is sort of rethink the way that we use rubrics and rubric criteria to emphasize originality and student voice, right?
Yeah. Yeah, in my courses, I have a new rubric category called assignment integrity, and it is 50% of the grade, and it talks about whether there's evidence of critical thinking, connection back to the learning materials, and whether the student's voice is reflected in the work. And so, even if I give them the choice of writing or recording, I kind of make it clear to them that it's going to be much easier to meet the expectations of that category if they're recording. If it's in a writing, it's going to be harder for me to tell, or I might have more questions about the authenticity of their work. Whereas it's much easier for me to get a feel for it in those audio or video posts.
It's been interesting how willing I've been as historically a humanities instructor teaching U.S. history to abandon what I held dear about the writing process. And so if there's writing instructors listening, I definitely don't have all the answers, but I have found it to be really rewarding to let students express themselves with VideoNote in ways that sort of sound unacademic, but have enabled me to really confidently assess whether they're gaining the skills and the knowledge I want them to gain. That for the last 25 years, you could go to Google and find information. Now with artificial intelligence, you can get that in 1/10 the amount of time. We can get a custom report generated for you on a specific topic. But it's that ability to engage with that knowledge in an informed way and in a confident way that our rubrics definitely try to assess. We've had a lot of luck assessing. Any other reflections on your college experience courses? Any other courses, Shannon, from the
I would
faculty
just say
perspective?
in college experience, we focus a lot on reflection, talking about what's worked and what hasn't worked in the past and what challenges students are facing now and in the future. And so the audio reflection, sometimes students really struggle with writing, or there's a lot of reading and writing in an online course. And so it's just nice for them to have a break from that and they can just hit record. Most of the time, I specifically tell them I'm not looking for polished presentations. I'm just looking for them to hit record and talk like we would if we were sitting in a classroom together. And so they take that to heart. And sometimes I get very long responses as a result of that. Sometimes I listen to them on double speed, not gonna lie. But
Same.
I can hear, but they do. They really reflect on themselves and what's going on in their lives. And that really helps me understand them better and helps us work through some of the issues they might be having with things like time management or organization or motivation, some of the things that we cover in the class.
It enables you to customize your feedback too, right? It's not even just knowing the student better, which is a key part of it, but it's about being able to take actionable item as an instructor to meet that student and all of the individualities that they present. I've got students, feeding the piglets while they're taking a U.S. history exam virtually with me, right? Students kind of reflecting openly on whether they're going to pass this class in the discussion. So it's been just interesting. Some students will literally hit that 30-minute mark, which is really, really enriching as an online instructor to have someone that interested and working that hard in an online class and to be able to see it. Again, they're a face now, not just a name on a screen. The transactional distance between instructor and student is reduced. When I see these online students now out in the real world, I'm much more likely to engage with them and expect them to engage with me because we've seen each other before. We're not strangers, we know each other. And student agency and their ability to kind of reach their goals and then personalize their learning through these assessments has been something powerful I've been playing around with in my American government class coming up this summer. So Shannon, we use and you used to work deeply with accessibility services, thinking about the future. We're using the learning outcomes tool. What are your kind of hopes or what are the prospects for this tool in your courses moving forward?
Well, I think, in terms of accessibility, I think while some students are definitely nervous about it, and some students have anxiety that prevents them from being able to record, and we deal with that when it comes up. But I think overall, it's helpful for accessibility because there are sometimes barriers with writing, and sometimes students use AI or they don't turn in assignments because they don't want to write or they feel like there's some kind of barrier there. And so sometimes I think VideoNote actually removes some of those barriers. So I hope that we can get more buy-in with using VideoNote on the faculty end at our college to get more people on board with it. There are some barriers in terms of some instructors say that it takes longer to grade or recorded assignments, and that can be true depending on how long students are talking. It can be really easy to scan for correct answers in a written assignment versus listening. But so yeah, there is going to be some give and take there. But I think if you're looking for connection with your learners and preventing AI use and things like that, it's well worth the extra time.
Yeah, it seems really well suited for the age of AI and the quest for sort of box-ready solutions to assess securely at home. It's sort of this beautiful middle ground of like teaching reality of it's actually a person, actually on screen, actually putting in time. And so it takes work and time. Like any real solution is going to be work. And so there is a stack of video notes sitting for me to assess currently, right, within my course. But I do the double speed, but I really look forward to it. And then I can immediately provide that feedback in a way that's really dynamic. We still have both in the asynchronous environment that I currently teach in. We both have control, but we're interacting in real time just on a time that we choose, with both when the student is submitting the assessment and when I'm recording that video feedback. And so we see each other in a way that we couldn't previously in online courses. Cool. I would invite anyone who's interested in using VideoNote to reach out to us, our team. We've had a lot of experience with this over the years. You can actually scan this and go out to our YouTube channel where we cover a couple of topics, including oral assessment and online courses. And then we have a cool Google site set up. And so I wanted to do one more thing, another QR code to read the original article that kind of inspired this and those students out in Texas who submitted an assignment months after the class was over just because they loved learning with video so much. Shannon, you're awesome. Thanks
Results
so much
not
for helping.
typical.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. You might be surprised by what you find. Thank you, Shannon.
Um, yeah, no, I think ultimately this is a good experience. There are ways to get around the time commitment, that it takes. You can do it, you can kind of spot check them, or you can have students submit them, maybe for one assignment, but not another. But ultimately, it is definitely well worth it. And especially if you're teaching fully online, it's well worth the engagement and getting to know people and really, and I think they're less likely to, or they're more likely to want to be authentic if they know the human kind of behind the screen.
Yes. Know your learners. Thanks, everyone.